y'all? This is Christina and Gwendolyn. We are back for another installment of Being Present in Meditation. Today, you have a long title today, and I tried to memorize it. It didn't happen. So today we're talking about
ego games that prevent us from being present.
Ooh, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, now she turned it back on us.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
So we're going to be talking about ego games that prevent us from being present. And I saw the prompts and the questions that you said, and I was like, oh, we getting into it today. So I know you like to start in a very particular way. So I'm going to let you take the reins and put my tea down.
I do. You know, I always like to start with our connecting with the higher frequency energies. Because it just makes everything flow, and it just brings us into this space of deeper understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why.
All right.
So let's sit with our feet flat on the floor, the spine elongated and erect. And take a deep breath. Exhale. Another one. Exhale. And one more. Exhale. I invite you to connect with the God of your understanding, however you relate to Source. Deep breath in. Exhale. Connect with your higher sacred self, recognizing that we are more than simply physical bodies. Deep breath in. Exhale. Let's connect with the divine presence that's moving through and expressing as creation, everything in existence. Deep breath in. Exhale. Let us connect with the ancestors. We stand on their shoulders. Their DNA is running through our bodies. Deep breath in. Exhale. And now let's connect with the great compassionate light. This is the light that we'll all meet at the end of our journeys here on earth. Deep breath in. Exhale. And just feel ourselves settle into this state of being present, being totally here. And let's breathe normally for a minute or two. Feeling the connection with yourself, feeling the connection with us, feeling the connection with anyone who is tuning in to listen and who will be listening later. Deep breath in and exhale. And so it is. You may open your eyes.
Ashe, man, that was beautiful just to start.
Yeah.
It's always amazing just to start.
Just connecting and just feeling the connection. I really love that.
Me too. All right, talk to me.
Well, you know, so this month we're talking about being present and really looking at ways of staying present and also looking at the things that prevent us from being present.
Yes. Internally and externally.
Exactly. So I thought today we would look at some of the ego games that we play in our relationships with other people. And know that as we go about this, there's no judgment here. And we're not even saying judge yourself.
Right.
we're simply saying become aware of what's happening.
Right. And which has been the center of the entire series is self-awareness.
Exactly.
Now I can't say I'm not going to judge me, but we're going to try.
Yes. Well, one of the first ego games that we play is dominating other people. So the
You
problem
don't come out the gate like
who's in control?
Who's in control?
Who's in control here?
Exactly.
And we do it in a number of ways. Sometimes we do it by raising our voice, speaking loudly, really pressing our point.
Talking over others.
Speaking, yes, exactly. And, we have these natural roles in our lives where there is sort of this relationship of domination. It can be parent to child. It could be boss to subordinate.
Right.
It can be teacher to student. It can be any number of ways. And most of the time we do it without being aware of it.
Right.
We've just bought into those roles. And so we're constantly exerting our quote unquote power over other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so one of the things that I want to invite everyone to look at is, what ways do you do that? What ways do you dominate others? And really be willing to look more closely at what is it about, right? So whether it's with a gaze,
that look where you like
that look, you know, and or sometimes it's by withholding affection.
I was gonna say mine's withdrawal.
Exactly.
So if I'm talked over or I feel like I'm not being heard, I'll withdraw myself from you. Like, okay, well then you don't want to hear me, so you don't deserve me. And that's my way of controlling our interaction, by instead of being in community with you and trying to get to a resolution or whatever, because it doesn't even have to be a bad thing. It just could be you talking over me.
So let me tell you, you just jumped into the second part of this. The flip side of dominating is refusing to be dominated.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
So in my domination, though, I would say it's more presence than verbal. I will push I know how to project my presence on you. So I'll push my presence on you to make you feel uncomfortable if I feel like I'm trying to control a situation. I may not have to say anything. It's just, you'll be like, "Ooh, what was that?" And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, so these are all ways that we really interact with other people, that they're ego games, and the reason they're named ego games is because these are the ways that the ego stays alive. And so part of what we want to become aware of in our interactions with others is, are we present? Are we able to connect with that person, to be available to that person's ideas, that person's being? Are we able to be unconditional?
Right.
In our interactions.
In our interactions. It's crazy because we use the concept of unconditional love, and love is an action. But in our actions, are we being unconditional? Are we present? So instead of projecting my presence, am I just settling in myself and still staying within myself to allow whatever's going on go around me? Ooh, Gwendolyn.
Exit.
You all in my business?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
In my business.
In your business.
And in your business too.
Each other business. This is community business.
That's right, because it's human nature. So if we really think about our relationships with the people who are primaries in our lives, like the relationships that we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis, think about your work situation. If you're employed, how often do you see this ego game at work where there's someone who's trying to take credit for the idea, someone who's restating the same thing that you just said, but bringing it forth as though it's their idea.
Yeah.
Right?
In my previous corporate positions, especially women, it's always their title.
Mhm.
Well, I'm the director of blah blah blah, and it's like it kind of like trying to knock you down a peg just because you're not at the same titleship. Even though none of us are the CEO, none of us run the company, so we're all kind of in the same positions. It's like an authority. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we really want to bring awareness into our interactions. You know, so the next time you find yourself in a situation like that, you know, look at what side of this coin are you on? Are you the person who's actually doing the projecting, who's actually doing the domination, or are you the person who's refusing to be dominated? You know, it's like, I'm not really gonna listen to anything that you have to say,
Right.
You know, because I don't like your attitude.
No.
Right?
No. And that's me. I'll be like, all right, like I'll literally say okay, and it's like a steel trap closes in my mind to where anything after the okay, I don't.
Right.
I do not hear at all.
You just stop listening.
Mm-hmm. I'm still present in the physical sense, but the rest of me ain't there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The other place that we see these ego games at work is in this notion of right and wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. You know, in therapy, they have a phrase like, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved?
Yikes.
You know, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? And I think that's a good question sometimes to ask ourselves. I mean, like this right and wrong kind of perspective, like everything has to be black or white, you know, my way or the highway.
Yeah.
No, it's a perspective. It's a function of conditioning and programming that we have taken on, and it doesn't really leave space for there to be another perspective, you know, another way of seeing things.
Another one, yeah. My favorite statement now, instead of right and wrong, is two truths can exist at the same time.
Love it.
And I say that because you'll get into interactions with folks, especially when it comes to emotions and feelings. It's like, well, this is how it is. It's like, no. Your perspective is your truth. My perspective is my truth. Somewhere in the middle has to be a resolution, and the resolution could be you own your truth, I own my truth, and we dip and leave it at that. Or it can be, okay, let's find the middle ground so we can coexist in these truths. But yeah, right and wrong is I do believe in some capacities there is right and then there is wrong, especially morally. But when we're talking about relationship, and especially in this capacity of being present, I always say two truths can exist at the same time.
So it's your truth and
your truth.
Yeah.
So they're both living.
But you know, like in this whole process, what we want to always keep in mind is that sometimes when we get really fixed on a particular perspective, we don't leave room to broaden our understanding.
Yes.
We don't leave room to allow the other person to share what's really on their heart. And you know, we don't know how to listen effectively. So,
especially now, we live in a very sensitive society.
Especially around politics.
Politics, social norms, cultural norms, all of it. Everything is, and I think one of the beautiful things about understanding that truths can be universal is that they can change too. Like your own truth will change.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the part where I tell people, like, don't get so rooted. Like, yes, it is what it is today, but tomorrow you may wake up and be like, this was dumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's places where this whole scale makes sense for the functioning of society.
Yes.
You know, and you know, I think there's always an opportunity for us to be willing to go deeper inside and explore, become aware, and be willing to grow. So this is the place where I think there's a real opportunity to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and learn to listen from the heart, for instance.
Yes.
And one of the things that I sometimes share with people is how to really step outside of your frame and be willing and be open to the other person and listening to not only what's being said, but see if you can connect in the feeling realm of what is actually going on.
Right.
Because, we don't always articulate what's really true in our hearts.
Right.
Or we don't even recognize that we're operating out of a hurt from an old thing in the past. We think it's the thing that's happening right here. And so as we learn to cultivate an active listening and being willing to really hear the other, we are opening up the possibility of being more present.
Yes, and I like that you said that, because I recently have told friends, like, I know, I said, you guys live in, like, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad. I said, there's a range in mad for me. There's annoyed, perturbed, frustrated, and I literally I said, then there's blackout, I'm gone, I'm angry.
Rage.
Right. I said, there are levels to it. So if I'm not there, don't say that I'm there, because that's there for you. That's not, my patience is really long, which is interesting, but it's very long. It says, if I'm getting frustrated, then you'll start seeing me like stumble over words, or I may cuss more than normally, right? I said, but there's ranges in my emotions, and I think in that understanding, though, in this conversation, I can also understand from some of my friends' perspective, rage is like here and there. Whereas me, I'm like,
Exactly.
And so I have to be cognizant and mindful, just because something will take me a little longer to get to a place of extreme anger doesn't mean that everybody operates in the same way.
Exactly. This is the point. And one of the things that I wanted to say is that as we look at these ego games, the real beauty and the value and the place where the opportunity for healing exists is to look at them in relationship to ourselves.
Right.
Not, oh, that person's playing an ego game.
Right.
Oh, that person is doing this.
Right.
Like, where am I in this?
Right.
How am I responding? What's being triggered in me? How does it show up in the world? How does it stop me from listening? How does this causes me to close my heart? All of this work that we do in this whole process is all about the inner world.
Yes.
And being in touch with what's going on inside of us. And that's why I love what you said about recognizing that your own spectrum is ...
Yeah, it's a lot different. And then that way, it also makes you cognizant of triggers too. So like for me, like we're using an example of anger, my trigger to anger is long. Some of my friends is very short. So then you can also tailor how you communicate, so then that way you don't get them to all the way there that quickly. You can be like, okay, I know if I said this to me, if I said it to her, let me bring you back just a little bit. And so, as somebody who prides himself on being hard, truthful, like, oh, I just tell the truth. No, to your point.
No, there's a place
There's
for that.
a place for that. And there's a person for that.
Exactly.
Exactly. Talking to me, just tell me straight up, I ain't got time to be figuring out what you're trying to say in the in-between. But for somebody else, they'll need that walkthrough.
Exactly.
Yes, or they won't be able to hear what you, oh, wow.
Exactly.
It's just all the things just start clicking.
Yeah, beautiful.
I was like, oh wow, huh?
Yes.
This is very interesting. I'm talking about friends because I'm not in a relationship, but I think of like my parents' dynamics too. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to call them and be like, hey, I just learned something about both of y'all. Like, let's have a conversation. But yeah, those dynamics are telling.
They are. And they're always an opportunity in this process to come to self, come to heart, come to center, come to breath, and be willing to check in and see in your own awareness, like, okay, what's true for me? What's going on inside here?
Yes.
am I meeting this in the most effective way? You know, am I meeting it in a way that serves? You know, and am I able to let go of my need in this moment? And this is like argument. I mean, like one of the things that we'll find often is, depending on how you were raised, you might be a person who has to have the last word.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that can be so unproductive.
It can be.
It can be very unproductive. And so this is an opportunity to look inside and see what's going on internally, and to see, you know, like what old things happen that were triggered, that, you know, when we had that immediate reaction.
And then I'm the reverse, because I'm the oldest of 7, so I had no word. There was, my mom always used to say things we laugh about now. She goes, are you bleeding? Are you dying? Do you need to go to the hospital? I'd be like, no. She's like, then it's not that important right now. And then so I actually embody that. And so I'd be like, okay, if a person is trying to communicate with me to get to a truth or a need and I shut down, that's also unproductive.
Exactly.
So you have to say the last word, it's like, and then I shut down, that's going nowhere.
Exactly.
Fast.
Exactly.
So sometimes you may need to shut up and I may just need to speak up. And then that's the middle ground in the truths or the shutting down the ego games, right? And inside, and being able to say, okay, this is how we communicate in a productive and healthy way that includes both of our truths.
And just being aware, I mean, bringing this awareness. If you make a practice of active listening, being aware, you know, stepping back from your reactive self, and begin to observe what's going on internally, you'll see that things begin to shift inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's also one of the benefits of meditation. It gives you the opportunity to create a little space between what's happening and that reaction, you know, rather than reacting, responding.
Taking a breath.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which,
it's time to do so. Man, are you giving me a lot? I'm like, I gotta go write in my journal when I go home. Okay. So let's just take a few minutes. We, in this particular process, we're just going to take a few minutes to tap inside as we close out, because on our Tuesdays we have this discussion, and on Thursdays we dive on in. That's right. So, and then on Thursday I'm going to demonstrate for you a mudra that we're going to use to really open the heart in this whole process of being present and being aware when these ego games are being played, popping up, both sides, internally and externally. Okay. So sit with your feet flat on the floor again. And we already brought in the higher frequency energy, so I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes. Hold your hands in a receptive position, facing skyward on your lap. And have your spine straight and elongated and soft. And visualize a golden ball of light coming into your head, coming into your crown and moving its way down slowly, anchoring in your heart center, the center of your chest. And take a deep breath in and exhale. So breathe in right at that heart center. Imagine that breath is coming right into your chest there. And as you exhale, spread this light throughout your body. Just imagine that it's spreading throughout your body. Deep breath in. Exhale.
Feel your connection with your heart, your connection in your body. Feel your connection with your breath. Just breathe normally and feel the connection. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to live. We want to live in the aliveness of the connection. Connection to this present moment. Connection with all the hearts assembled. Connection deeply with ourselves. Deep breath in. Hold it. Exhale. Deep breath in. Exhale. Let's take a moment and bring our hands together in the Namaskar mantra. Giving thanks to the God of our understanding, to our higher sacred self, to the divine presence, to our ancestors, to our teachers and guides, and to the great compassionate light. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace within, peace outside, peace all around us. Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you so much, Miss Gwendolyn, for this insightful conversation. Make sure you guys tune in this Thursday. We will be having our full meditation from 12:30 to 1 p.m. on this specific topic, ego games that keep us from being present and staying present in the midst of those things. I want to thank everybody that tuned in with us. I see Tammy. I'm squinting, but I think this is Tammy. Yes, this is Tammy. Hi, Tammy.
I see some friends. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and we look forward to meditating with you on Thursday. Is that going to be it for our series?
Do we have any more days?
I think we have one more. Oh, yeah.
I do have
Next
some more
week.
things to say.
Okay, well, let's keep it going.
I have a few more things to say about the ego games.
Oh, let's keep it going then. Look, we all here for our healing. All
Exactly.
Right? So we'll keep this conversation going about staying present. Make sure you tell a friend, family that we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll see you guys soon. Oh, meditations are saved. So you guys can always go back and redo these meditations or join the conversations if you see fit. All right? We'll holler at y'all on Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. Now let me roll.